Worry. It's something we all know too well. It's that restless voice that tells us we're not enough, that things won't work out, running through the park, that the future is uncertain. But let me tell you this, worry doesn't solve tomorrow's problems, it only steals today's peace. The moment we stop worrying, life begins to unfold in ways we never imagined. It's as if the universe was just waiting for us to let go so it could finally step in. Worry is like invisible handcuffs. It doesn't chain your body, but it locks your thoughts, your emotions, and even your spirit. When you are caught in worry, you are not living freely. You are pacing back and forth in a mental cell that you yourself built. Think about it, how many hours, days, or even years of your life have been wasted in fear of something that never even happened. How many nights have you laid awake replaying the same what ifs in your head while life outside your window kept moving forward without you? Worry convinces us that by thinking over a problem again and again, we are preparing for the future. But in truth, all we are doing is draining ourselves, living in a cycle of fear that serves no purpose. The mind becomes restless, the heart becomes heavy, and the soul feels trapped. You may be physically free, but mentally you're imprisoned. Prison of worry is especially cruel because the bars are made of illusion. Most of what we worry about never even becomes reality. We invent problems that do not exist, and in doing so, we suffer twice, once in our imagination and once in reality, if the problem even arrives. For example, a person may worry for months about losing their job, only to later realize they spent all that time living in fear instead of using their energy to improve, grow, and prepare for better opportunities. The saddest part is this: worry blinds us to the beauty of the present moment. When you are locked inside the prison of worry, you can't see the joy of today, the laughter of a friend, the opportunities in front of you, the peace available in a simple breath. You are so consumed by a tomorrow that hasn't even come that you forget you're alive right now. To break free from this prison, you must first recognize that worry is not protecting you. It is hurting you. It is not preparation, it is punishment. Doors of this prison are not locked from the outside. They are locked from within. The key is already in your hands. The moment you decide to stop feeding worry, the bars begin to dissolve and you step out into freedom. And here's the truth: once you step out, life starts moving again. Opportunities begin to appear, clarity comes back, energy returns, and suddenly you feel alive in ways you haven't felt in years. You realize that the prison was never real, it was only in your mind. So remember this: worry is the thief of joy, the jailer of freedom, and the barrier between you and your true potential. Don't spend your life pacing in a cage that doesn't exist. Step out, live free. Because the moment you stop worrying, that's when life truly begins to work in your favor. Energy is one of the most valuable resources we have in life. Every decision we make, every dream we chase, every relationship we build, it all requires energy. Creativity, too, is the force that helps us solve problems, innovate, and design a life worth living. But worry is like a silent thief. It sneaks into our mind and drains both our energy and creativity before we even notice it's gone. Think about how you feel when you're worrying. Your body becomes tense, your mind feels heavy, and your focus slips away. You may be sitting at your desk trying to work or spending time with your family, but half your energy is being consumed by the what ifs in your head. What if I fail? What if they judge me? What if things don't go as planned? Those thoughts pull away the very energy you need to live in the present. Worry doesn't just steal energy. It redirects it into something useless. Imagine holding a cup with a small leak at the bottom. No matter how much water you pour in, it keeps dripping out. That's what worry does to your energy. Instead of using your mental and emotional strength to build, create, and grow, you waste it on fear that produces nothing, paying rent for a house you don't even live in. And then there's creativity. When the mind is clouded by worry, creativity suffocates. You cannot paint a picture on a canvas that is already scribbled with fear. You cannot design solutions when your thoughts are consumed by problems. Worry fills the mind with noise, and creativity needs silence to be heard. Many great ideas, inventions, and breakthroughs come in moments of calm clarity, not in moments of worry. A musician doesn't write their best song while replaying fears in their head. An entrepreneur doesn't find the next big idea by drowning in what ifs. Creativity flows when the mind is open, free, and at peace. Worry blocks that flow. Here's the irony: the very things we worry about often require creativity and energy to solve. But worry steals both of those from us. For example, someone who constantly worries about their financial situation spends hours stressing, but never has the energy to sit down and plan a budget, start a side hustle, or think of innovative ways to earn. Their energy is drained by fear, not directed towards solutions. But the moment you let go of worry, something shifts. That same energy that was once wasted becomes available again. Suddenly you feel lighter, clearer, and more capable. Your creativity awakens. New ideas, fresh perspectives, unexpected solutions begin to appear. Why? Because the energy that was trapped in fear is now free to flow into growth. So understand this: worry is not just an emotion. It is a thief. It robs you of the very fuel you need to live fully. It steals the spark of creativity that makes life exciting. Don't let it. Protect your energy like treasure. Guard your creativity like fire. Every time worry tries to sneak in, remind yourself, this energy is not for fear. It is for building, creating, and living. The moment you take back your energy from worry, life starts working for you, not against you. Worry is not just an emotion. It is an energy leak, a silent drain that takes away your strength before you even realize it. Imagine waking up each morning with a battery fully charged. That battery is your energy, your mental focus, your emotional drive, your physical strength, your spiritual fire. Now imagine that before you even step out of bed, worry begins poking holes in that battery. By the time you leave the house, running through the park, half your energy is already gone, not because of what you've done, but because of what you've thought. This is the hidden cost of worry. It robs us of energy we could be using to live. Instead of being present, instead of taking bold steps, instead of enjoying the moment, we walk through life tired, distracted, and drained, simply because we gave our energy away to fear that never even materialized. Think about how you feel when you're in the middle of deep worry. Your chest feels tight. Your breathing becomes shallow. Your brain keeps looping the same thoughts. You try to focus on work. Your mind is somewhere else. You try to enjoy a conversation, but you're not really listening. You try to rest, but you can't relax. That's not living. That's surviving on low power. But energy isn't the only casualty. Creativity also dies under the weight of worry. Creativity is what makes us human. It is the power to imagine something better, to solve problems in new ways, to paint a vision of a brighter future. Creativity is born in calmness, in openness, in curiosity. It needs space. It needs flow. But worry suffocates that space. Your mind as a room filled with light. In that room, new ideas, solutions, and inspirations move freely. Now imagine worry entering that room. It begins to close the curtains, dim the light, and clutter the floor with fears. Suddenly, there's no room left for creativity to move. That's why when you're stuck in worry, you feel like your best ideas are locked away and your solutions are out of reach. Think of how many people have lost opportunities simply because their creativity was stolen by worry. A student too worried about failure to study creatively. An artist too worried about judgment to paint freely. An entrepreneur too worried about risk to pursue an idea. Worry paralyzes the very gift that could have freed them. The tragedy is this: things we worry about often require creativity and energy to solve. You worry about money, but you need creative ideas to earn more. You worry about relationships, but you need energy to communicate and connect. You worry about the future, you need clarity and creativity to design it. Worry strips you of the very tools you need to overcome it. It's like being locked out of your own toolbox. But here's the breakthrough: the moment you release worry, your energy begins to return. Mental battery starts charging again. That cluttered room of the mind clears. Suddenly you feel lighter. Suddenly you have energy not just to cope, but to create. Ideas you couldn't see before start flowing. Possibilities you thought were closed start opening. Great thinkers, leaders, and creators throughout history had one thing in common: they learned to rise above worry. They protected their energy, guarded their creativity. They understood that worry is wasted imagination. Instead of imagining what could go wrong, they used their creativity to imagine what could go right. That shift made all the difference. So the lesson is simple but powerful. Worry steals energy and creativity, but you have the choice to stop it. Every time worry creeps in, ask yourself, do I want to spend my energy on fear, or do I want to invest it in creation? The answer to that question will determine whether your life moves forward or stays stuck. When you protect your energy and free your creativity, life doesn't just start working, it begins to flourish. Worry has a way of pulling us out of life's most valuable gift, the present moment. Every second you are alive is a second that will never return. It is sacred, it is precious. And yet, most people do not live in the present. They live in the what-ifs of tomorrow or the should-haves of yesterday. Worry ties your mind to the future, a place that does not even exist yet, while robbing you of the only time you truly have now. Think about it. The future is nothing but imagination. It is a picture your mind paints based on fear, insecurity, and doubt. When you worry, you are rehearsing tragedies in your head that haven't even happened. You're living in a future where things go wrong, even though there's no guarantee they will. You are experiencing pain in advance. Have you noticed how worry is rarely about this exact second, running through the park? It's not about the chair you're sitting on or the air you're breathing right now. It's about something that might happen next week, next month, or even years from now. Your body is here, but your mind is elsewhere. And when your mind is elsewhere, you miss the beauty, peace, power of this very moment. The present is where life actually unfolds. You can only breathe in the present. You can only love in the present. You can only make decisions, take action, or create change in the present. But when worry drags you into the future, you become paralyzed. You're living in a place where you cannot act, you cannot influence, you cannot experience life. You can only imagine fear. That is why worry feels so heavy. It's like trying to walk with your feet stuck in cement because you're living in a time zone you don't belong to. Now here's the irony. The future that you're so worried about will be shaped by how you live in the present. If you spend today lost in worry, tomorrow will be built on stress and fear. But if you spend a day fully alive, focused, present, and at peace, you build a future filled with clarity, opportunity, and strength. The future is not created by worry. It is created by presence. Imagine holding a glass of water in your hand. If you focus only on the possibility of spilling it tomorrow, you'll walk nervously, trembling, and eventually spill it anyway. But if you simply stay present, steady your hand, and focus on this exact step, you carry it safely. Life works the same way. Worrying about tomorrow makes you stumble today, but living fully today shapes tomorrow with strength. Look at nature. A flower does not worry about whether the sun will shine tomorrow. It blooms today. Bird does not spend the night worrying whether the sky will still be there in the morning. It sings when the dawn arrives. Life, in its purest form, is always present. Humans, with our powerful minds, are the only ones who leave the present and live in an imagined future, and then wonder why we feel restless, fearful, and unfulfilled. The truth is, peace is only found in the now. The laughter of a friend, the taste of food, the sound of rain, the heartbeat of your child, none of these exist in the future. They exist only in this moment. And when you worry, you trade those treasures for shadows that may never come. So the choice is yours. Do you want to live in the future, where fear lives, or in the present, where life lives? The moment you return to the present, worry begins to fade. You begin to see clearly. You begin to breathe deeply. You begin to live freely. And here's the beauty. When you live fully present, life starts working in your favor. Why? Because clarity, strength, and opportunity are all born in the now. When you stop worrying about tomorrow, you unlock the power to shape it today. So remember, this worry is living in a future that doesn't exist. Peace is living in the present that is already yours. The day you stop letting worry drag you into tomorrow is the day you finally begin to live today. Where worry exists, faith cannot breathe. Where faith is alive, worry cannot survive. The two are opposites. Worry feeds on fear, while faith is built on trust. Worry says, I don't know how I will get through this. Faith says, I don't need to know the how. I only need to know that I will. Most people confuse faith with blind optimism, but that's not what it is. Faith is not ignoring reality. Faith is not pretending that problems don't exist. Faith is standing in the middle of uncertainty and still believing that life will work itself out. It's the ability to say, even if I don't see the whole staircase, I can take the first step because I trust that something greater is guiding me. When we live in worry, we are like people trying to drive through life with fogged up windshields. We can't see clearly, so we slow down, hesitate, sometimes freeze in fear. But when faith replaces worry, it's like the fog begins to clear. We may not see the entire road, we see enough to move forward. And that movement is what allows life to start working for us. Faith is powerful because it redirects your energy. Worry consumes energy and leaves you empty. Faith takes that same energy and transforms it into strength, courage, and resilience. A worried mind says, I can't handle it. A faithful mind says, whatever comes, I'll handle it. I am bigger than this challenge. Think about the times in your life when you were most worried. You may have thought you wouldn't survive that season, that heartbreak, that failure, that uncertainty. But here you are. Somehow, you made it through. That, somehow, is proof that life has always carried you further than your fears predicted. That is what faith is. It's the memory of past victories fueling trust in future outcomes. Faith doesn't mean you sit back and do nothing. It means you do what you can with what you have today, and then you release the rest. Faith is action partnered with surrender. You prepare, you try, you show up, but you don't waste your nights worrying about what you can't control. You trust that the rest will fall into place. Imagine a farmer planting seeds. He waters them, protects them, nurtures them. But he cannot force the rain to fall. He cannot command the sun to shine. He does what he can, and then he has faith that nature will do the rest. Worrying about whether the crops will grow doesn't make them grow faster. It only drains him. Faith gives him peace while the process unfolds. That's life. You cannot control everything. You cannot predict every outcome. But you can control your effort, your attitude, your choices. And then you can trust that life, God, the universe, or whatever you believe in will meet you halfway. Trust is the birthplace of peace. When faith replaces worry, doors begin to open. Your mind is calmer. Your heart is lighter. Your spirit is stronger. You begin to notice opportunities you couldn't see before because worry had clouded your vision. Faith sharpens your sight, gives you courage to step into the unknown. It gives you patience to endure the waiting. It gives you hope when things feel heavy, running through the park. Here's the truth: faith doesn't always remove the storm, but it gives you the strength to walk through it. Doesn't promise that life will always be easy, but it guarantees that you will not be destroyed. And when you live like that, life starts to work. Not because everything suddenly becomes perfect, but because you are no longer fighting against yourself in fear. You are walking forward in trust. So every time worry tries to grip you, ask yourself, what would faith say right now? And then choose that voice. Choose to believe that things are working out, even if you don't yet see how. Choose to believe that tomorrow has more answers than today has fears. Choose to believe that the same life that carried you here will carry you forward. Because once you allow faith to replace worry, you don't just survive life, you partner with it. And that's when life truly starts working for you, not against you. Worry thrives in stillness, not the stillness of peace, but the stillness of inaction. When you sit and do nothing while your mind spins in circles, worry grows louder and stronger. It feeds on hesitation. It multiplies in idleness. But the moment you take action, any action, worry begins to shrink. Why? Because worry lives in imagination while action lives in reality, running through the it. Most of the things we worry about are possibilities, not facts. What if I fail? What if they reject me? What if it doesn't work? These questions create storms in our mind. But when we step forward and take action, we replace imagination with experience. And experience almost always shows us that the storm was smaller than we feared, or that we are stronger than we thought. Action is powerful because it creates momentum. Worry keeps you stuck in the same place, pacing back and forth, replaying the same fears over and over. But action, even in the smallest step, breaks the cycle. It moves you forward. And once you are moving forward, worry has a much harder time keeping up with you. For example, imagine someone who is worried about failing an exam. They spend hours sitting in fear, feeling overwhelmed, doing nothing. The worry gets worse. But the moment they open the book, take notes, or attempt a practice test, their worry begins to fade. Not because the exam disappeared, but because action replaced paralysis. Same applies in every area of life. Worried about money? Action is sitting down to create a budget, applying for new opportunities, or learning a new skill. Worried about health? Action is taking a walk, adjusting your diet, or scheduling a checkup. Worried about relationships? Action is having the hard conversation, expressing your feelings, or listening deeply. Worry only consumes you when you do nothing. The moment you do something, you reclaim your power. There's another reason action is the antidote. It builds confidence. Confidence doesn't come from wishing or waiting. It comes from doing. When you act, you prove to yourself that you are capable. Even if the result is not perfect, you learn, you grow, and you become stronger. Each action weakens the voice of worry and strengthens the voice of courage. The truth is, waiting for worry to disappear before you act is a trap. If you wait until you feel no fear, you may wait forever. Courage is not the absence of worry. It is action in the presence of it. Act of moving forward is what dissolves fear, not the other way around. Think of a dark room. Worry is standing still in the darkness, imagining monsters in every corner. Action is reaching out and turning on the light. Suddenly you see clearly, and most of the monsters were never there. History is full of people who chose action over worry. They didn't wait until they had all the answers. They didn't wait until they felt fearless. They moved forward anyway. That's why they succeeded. That's why they grew. Running through the park, they understood that action doesn't just solve problems. It transforms people. And here's the most empowering part. Action is always within your control. You cannot control tomorrow. You cannot control other people. You cannot control every outcome. But you can control what you do today, in this moment. That choice is your weapon against worry. So when you find yourself drowning in what ifs, don't stay still. Don't feed the worry by sitting in it. Take a step, make a move, do something even if it's small. Action doesn't have to solve everything at once. It just has to break the cycle. And once it does, you'll find that life starts responding to your movement. Opportunities appear, clarity arrives, worry loses its grip. Because here's the truth, worry imagines problems, but action creates solutions. Worry drains you, but action fuels you. Worry paralyzes, but action liberates. And every time you choose action over worry, you are choosing growth over fear, progress over paralysis, life over hesitation. So remember this, action is the antidote to worry. Movement is medicine. Steps, no matter how small, lead you out of fear and into freedom. When you move, life moves with you. And that is when life truly begins to work. When most people think of power, they imagine noise. They picture force, struggle, hustle, or domination. But true power is often silent. True strength is often calm. And the greatest power a person can carry is not found in worry, not found in chaos, but in peace. Worry is weakness disguised as preparation. It feels like you're doing something, but in reality, it drains you. On the other hand, is strength disguised as stillness. It may look quiet, but inside, it is unshakable. A peaceful mind is a powerful mind about a storm. The wind rages, the rain crashes, the lightning flashes. But at the very center of a hurricane is the eye, place of complete stillness. That stillness is what gives the storm its structure. In the same way, life will throw storms your way, uncertainty, loss, challenges. But if you can find peace at the center of it all, you become unshakable. Peace gives you clarity. When your mind is restless with worry, it's like muddy water. You can't see through it. But when peace settles in, the mud sinks and the water becomes clear. Suddenly, the answers you couldn't find begin to appear. Opportunities you couldn't see come into view. Decisions become easier because peace sharpens your vision. Peace also gives you strength. When you are consumed by worry, you waste energy fighting battles in your head. But when you are at peace, all that energy is available for real action. You are no longer distracted by 100 what ifs. You are focused, steady, and powerful in the present moment. Focus alone is enough to change the direction of your life. And peace is magnetic. Have you ever noticed how people are drawn to those who are calm under pressure? In a room full of chaos, a person with peace becomes the anchor everyone looks to. Leaders are not made by shouting the loudest. They are made by staying grounded when everyone else panics. That's the power of peace. It influences others without effort. Even in your personal life, peace transforms relationships. Worry makes you reactive, defensive, and anxious. Peace makes you patient, understanding, and compassionate. It allows you to listen deeply, to love fully, to forgive freely. Where worry builds walls, peace builds bridges. Now here's the greatest truth. Peace is not something you find outside of yourself. It is something you cultivate within. The world will always have chaos. The future will always be uncertain. There will always be reasons to worry. Peace is not the absence of problems. It is the presence of strength in the middle of them. How do you cultivate this peace? By choosing it, by letting go of the battles that are not yours to fight, by trusting that life has a way of working itself out, by replacing what if everything goes wrong with what if everything works out, by remembering that no matter what happens, You are capable of enduring, adapting, and overcoming. When you carry peace, you carry power. Power to think clearly. Power to act decisively. Power to remain calm in storms that make others collapse. Peace doesn't just protect you from worry. It empowers you to live fully, to lead boldly, and to experience life with joy. So let the world spin, let the storms rage. While others are drowning in worry, you can stand in the calm of peace, knowing that you are stronger than fear, braver than doubt, and greater than anything life throws your way. Because in the end, peace is not weakness, it is your greatest power. And when you carry peace, life begins to work with you, not against you. So, what do we learn? Worry does not protect us. It only paralyzes us. It steals our energy, blinds our vision, and robs us of the present moment. But when we let go of worry, when we choose action, when we embrace faith, and when we anchor ourselves in peace, life begins to flow again. Life is not waiting for you to have every answer. It is not waiting for you to solve every problem in your head. It is waiting for you to release worry and start living. Because the truth is this: life doesn't begin when everything is perfect. It begins when you stop wasting time in fear. Life starts working the very moment you trust it, the moment you step out of your prison of worry and into the freedom of peace. So stop worrying, start living, and watch how life begins to work in your favor the moment you do.